This time at Quick Speed Shop, I'm back in the shop working on my 37 Ford. We're doing a flathead conversion from 60 horsepower to 100 horsepower 59 AB. Doing a lot of cleanup and restoration along the way, so if you like 37 Fords, old flatheads, and old Ford hot rods, this video is for you. I'm a professional, don't try this at home. Hey guys, welcome back to the Quick Speed Shop. I got a lot of bolting together of action cool stuff going on in this video. We're going to be playing with the 37 Ford again back here, and I've got a bunch of more parts in so we can bolt some cool stuff together like transmissions, clutches, rear end pieces, gas tank pieces, all kinds of stuff. So let's check it out. So it's been a couple days since I filmed the last video, which you just saw, and parts have come in. I've got the actual correct clutch this time. I got a 10-inch clutch. I bought this one from 3rd Gen Auto in Tennessee, and it was $159, plus I got $10 worth of flywheel bolts because I didn't have the correct flywheel bolts to put the pressure plate on. So I just got that. Got a nice 10-inch clutch here. What's going on is the 39 box. Oh, I also got the correct shifter for the 39 transmission. I found this on eBay. A really nice one. The guy had already painted it up. It was like super clean on the bottom. I slapped it on here with a like a 37 style shifter, which has been broken off here, so I got to fix that and put it, extend it out and put the knob on it. But I've just got this temporarily bolted on the transmission, so I can show you how it works with the Ford. Well, let me back up and explain. So the 39 transmission has updated syncros from like the 34 to like 38 transmission. And the detents are a little bit different down here in the box, and there's a different clutch fork, so you need a 39 style double detent top shifter tower, whatever you want to call it. So I had to buy the correct one, and of course they're hard to find because it's for the 39 box, which everybody wants to run. So the parts are expensive. This was $275 on eBay just for this top shifter tower plus shipping. So I got $300 in my shifter, and I had the transmission in the basement, which I think I bought in an auction for like 10 bucks. So I've got about the price of what you can buy a 39 box in the open market for, just in 2 parts, but all of it was for me to get the shifter. But I had to have it, and people want stupid money for them for on eBay, and this is the nicest one I can find that actually looked cleaned up, wasn't just thrown on there all raggedy taggedy. So I've got the box just bolted up on the transmission, so I just run it through the gears. So the early Ford transmission, you get down as first gear, go up and over as second, and then down into third, and then reverses up and to the left there. So it runs through the gears really nice. It's just a little bit stiff because there's no oil in it at all, but once you get a little bit of gear oil in there, it'll be shift like butter. But I got the 39 top on there with the shifter. I just got to clean it up a little bit and extend it up here and put another knob on it. But I painted up the box. I just scuffed it up and painted it here, hanging off the back of the block, so I can unbolt this, and we'll get the clutch bolted up to the flywheel. So up here at the clutch, we've got the clutch disc, brand new clutch disc. It doesn't say where it's made. I bought one from Dennis Carpenter. It was made in China, and this one doesn't say where it's made. It came in a box just packaged up like this, but I'm not sure what the dealio is with that. But anyways, we've got a brand new disc, and we got a brand new 10-inch pressure plate here. Everything's all brand new. I ordered this for the 59 AB, the 46 to 48 engines, which comes with this style. Throwout bearing. I ordered a new piece that goes in this in the 39 transmission. The shift force grab on here, then a spring pulls on the top of this, and maybe this bearing goes right on here. I'm gonna guess that's what happens. Aha! So now we got our correct throwout bearing to push on the levers of the pressure plate here. It's got 3 fingers, and then the bearing pushes right on that. So we got a new clutch. We also got a new spring. The spring hooks on this piece here somehow. I believe like that. And then it goes back to the transmission bell housing, and that's your return spring for there. So we got that on there. Comes with an alignment tool. And it also comes with a new pilot bearing that will get pressed into the crank. And then it has your input shaft for your transmission goes on there. So we got all brand new clutch parts ready to go. Alright. Bam! There we go. There. Okay, I'm going to put the throwout bearing on the transition here. I took some sandpaper, I cleaned up the input shaft, and I've got it slipping nice over the input shaft bearing. It slips in there. Oops, I lied to you. Hold on, get in there. I went right in there. There we go. It slipped. The transition, it slips in the bearing nice. I can put a tiny little bit of grease on there, and it'll go right in there. And the bearing, I went and I pressed it on to all the way till it's seated on the new piece where the shift fork pushes on it. I'm just going to take some grease. I'm going to put a tiny little bit of grease on the collar on the transmission here, just a tiny little bit, just to make it a little shiny, a little slippery, because this piece floats in and out here. So I'm just going to put just a tiny little bit on there just to give it a little bit of sliding action. And I'm also going to put just a tiny little bit of grease where the shift fork pushes on the throwout bearing bracket. A little bit of grease there. Now I'll slip this on here just like so. And that's got a nice, all greased up nice now, so it should slide real nice. I've got to hook my spring, and I'll just show you how it works. Here's the clutch arm. The clutch pulls and pushes the bearing out into the pressure plate like that. That's how it releases the clutch. So I've just got to take the spring and pull it over. I'll have to get some pliers probably to do that. So now I can see the clutch arm and how that works. Nice. It's going to work out awesome. Just like that. All restored new. So now we'll come over here, we'll take and we'll press the bearing into the end of the crank. It should go right tight up to here, I assume. It's going to get a seal driver or something, and we'll pound this in here with a hammer, dead blow hammer. Get in there nice. I've already cleaned up the flywheel, even though it's got a tiny little bit of ridging in it. I cleaned it up with some 80 grit on a DA last time. It's nice and smooth and nice. The best thing I would have been to do, they take it off and get it resurfaced at a machine shop, but obviously I didn't do that. It's going to be fine for what I'm doing here with this car. I think what I can do is I can use this socket. It's the same size as this pilot bearing. And I'll just try to get it centered up in the crank and use my dead blow hammer, and I'll just tap this in. Try to get it straight. That's not straight. Doesn't want to go anywhere near being straight for some reason. It's going. There we go. I'm going to use a piece of brass here, make sure it's seated all the way. Woo. It's solid. It's in there, right up to that shoulder. So there we go. We got our pilot bushing installed, or I'm sorry, pilot bearing. So now I can bolt the clutch and the pressure plate on. Okay, I got my pressure plate here. I washed it off with some brake cleaner, and I've got the clutch disc installed. I've got the alignment tool installed. I got the disc slid in here on the flywheel. The side of the springs on it sticks out and the flush side goes on the flywheel. I've got my special pressure plate bolts that I ordered in here. They got a little shoulder on them for putting the pressure plate on. So now I think I just kind of wrangle this sucker up in here. Barely fits in the hole, and then just line up my 6 bolts. Let's see, I'm going to need an extension to run these in here. They look like they're half inch bolts. Need to get an extension to run these up in here. Come on now, there we go. Ooh. How on earth? Do you tighten these up? And I can't even get the socket in there. Oh, I see. There's a nodule here in the bell housing. Maybe that's where you tighten them up. Rolled around and tighten them up there. I don't know. I can get... Man, it's tight. But they got this little cutout in the bell housing up here. I bet that is for tightening these bolts up. Let's see if I can get any more in here that I can reach. I might be able to get that one. Oh yeah. Now there's 6 bolts round to hold the pressure plate on. Get in there. Yeah, 6 of them. This is a chore and a half. Alright, I'm going to have to fight these bolts in here one at a time and spin the engine around and get them in and tighten them down and then snug them all down and then torque them to whatever they got to be torqued to. So it's going to take me a minute to fuss with this, and then we will be able to put the transmission up on here as soon as I get these all in and tightened down. So let me fight with these and then we'll come back. Alright, I'm going to have to fight these bolts in here one at a time and spin the engine around and get them in and tighten them down and then snug them all down and then torque them to whatever they got to be torqued to. So it's going to take me a minute to fuss with this, and then we will be able to put the transmission up on here as soon as I get these all in and tightened down. Okay, I got the bolts torqued down to 20 foot-pounds, which the torque calls for. What I had to do, just as if you guys are doing this, is you got to compress the pressure plate as the bolts tighten down, and the bolts are so short. I had trouble when I got 2 in here, and I tightened it just like a turn or two. It pulled the pressure plate just a little bit crooked, and I couldn't get the 3rd bolt in the other side to start, so I had to use a longer 5/16 bolt and draw it in a little bit, then snug them down about halfway. Then I got the other 3 bolts in, then I took that long bolt out and put the last bolt in, then I tightened it down all the way. So it's all tight here now. I can take out my tool here, a little alignment tool, out of the clutch, and we should be able to be ready to put the transmission on. One thing I do want to do, I'm going to take a Sharpie. I'm going to write on here the date that this was installed. Let's see, today is, let's see, it's 3/11/22. I'm going to write the mileage. It's 96,000 and something on the car. $96,453. So if I ever take this apart again, we'll know. And we're going to write quick speed shop right on it. Right there, bam. Oh, the shifter's on the way. Dang it. All right, here we go. Ooh, look at that, it's going already. Oh, perfect. If my engine wasn't rolling away from me on the stupid shopping cart, I'd be all set here. Man, that went right in there, no problem. Perfect. Just run a bolt in it. A couple bolts here to hold it. That's awesome. That went really easy. Using brand new grade 8 bolts, hold her in place. That's awesome. So now, let's see. So the clutch pushes ahead here. I'm not going to be able to release it, I doubt, but no. But there, I can feel the springs working there good. Return springs pulling the shaft back. And I can just take and torque all these bolts down. I think it's about 40 foot-pounds, I think it goes to. It's next day. What I did over last night, after last time I videoed, I painted the engine. I scuffed it up and reshot the whole thing of Ford engine green, just to cover up all the bolt holes again and make it shiny. And it's kind of dirty, so I recoated it all. It looks good. It looks mint. Everything's painted up nice. I got the thermostats sitting on here. Got 160-degree thermostats for the engine, so this is pretty much ready to install in the car as it is like now. So I've been working over on the car here, cleaning up the front cross member and stuff, and I'm gonna repaint some of this under the hood. First I got to do is I got to remove the 60 horsepower engine mounts. You see over here, this is a stock Ford Flathead biscuit mount for the 85 horse cars, and then on the 60 horsepower cars they added this special mount that was the motor mount and the radiator mount in one unit for the smaller 60 horsepower engine and the shorter radiator. So I've unbolted this and this should come out. Get out of there. There we go. Damn, see, it's got a little dimple there that just sits down in where the factory motor mount went, or the 85 horse mount went. So I'll clean that up. I've degreased this all a bunch in here, and I'm going to just rattle can it some satin black just to clean it up. I cut the wiring harness out of the way. Not really a big deal because I'm going to replace that whole thing anyways. But I want to get this all cleaned up in here, get the engine back in. I think I'll set the engine in place and then do the wiring harness maybe, or do the wiring harness first. It might be easier to get to. I don't know. I haven't got that far. But I'm going to clean this up and paint it so it's black. Even though it's dusty right now, I painted up the engine, not the engine, the battery box had some corrosion and stuff, so I cleaned it up, rail can that satin black. I cleaned up the firewall. It was real grungy, a lot of dirt like into the paint. It probably needs some rubbing compound to rub the top of the firewall out because it's probably supposed to be more shiny like this, and it's really dull. But I don't have any compound, so I cleaned it up the best I could. Just trying to kind of clean up under the hood. Down here on the bottom, I had rattle canned the underside of this car once before when I worked on it, readjusting the front brakes, and I didn't get a lot of the grease off the bottom of the spring. So I scraped that off. I'm going to repaint the bottom of the spring. I'm going to repaint all the stuff that's showing bare metal. I knocked some of the rust out of the seams of the frame. It's super solid, but there's a little bit of rust in it, not real heavy, just how they are with the double layer frames. So I'm going to, and I blew all that out real good. So I'm going to repaint the bottom of this as well with the cross member, and just kind of maintain the car. I'm not really restoring the car right now. Obviously, I'm just doing a lot of rattle can restoration. I like to call it rattle can restoration. This car is really solid, and I'm just trying to maintain it. It's pretty much like a used car from back in the day. If you bought this car like in 1950, this would probably be about the shape it would be in. So I'm just trying to get things cleaned up the best I can and maintain it for the future. So I'm just taking the rust scale off. I can find it, wire wheeling it, putting a little rust encapsulator on it, painting it satin black. And this car is going to be a real good driver. You know, eventually, if I ever wanted to strip the whole car down, redo the whole thing, it's a really solid builder car to do that with. Here out back, I've got the rear end. I took the radius rods off the original 37 rear end and put them on the 38 rear end, which you saw me paint up last time. And I also got my new rear main leaf for the spring. I bought this from Millworks Hot Rods in New Hampshire. It was like, I believe, $149, $150. This is a reverse eye spring, and it's also, I think, got less pitch to it, but it's got a brand new main leaf that they make, and it is going to lower the back of the car. It says 2 to 2.5 inches. I also put longer shackles on the back. I had these shackles that fit the Ford square boss bushing that's in the spring here, which works really nice. And I don't have the bushings in the bottom of the spring yet. It's kind of just floating in here right now. But I hung it on here, these a little bit longer shackles. You can see over here on the stock 37 rear end, the shackles are pretty short. And so these stick shackles are about 1 inch longer bolt to bolt, which will probably lower the back of the car about another 1/2 inch. The only thing I need to worry about and make sure it doesn't have any play in it is the shackles. It's which locates the rear end side to side, and with the short original shackles, the spring would go out to 45 degrees on the shackle angle, and it would locate the rear end in the center of the car. Since I have a little bit longer shackle on there, it changes that angle. And if I push down on this leaf and kind of spread it out how it's going to be on the car, it takes these shackles down to about, I don't know, 30 degrees. And I'm a little worried. See this sideways movement here? And I got a little squeak, but I got a little bit of sideways movement, about 1 inch side to side. And that's because the longer shackle took that 45 degree out of there. So I'm not sure exactly how it's going to sit, but I'm a little worried that the rear end's going to want to walk back and forth about 1 inch. So what I'm going to have to probably do, once I get the spring all built in here, get the rear end in the car, set it down, put weight on it, push the car side to side and see if it does move. What I can do is make some kind of Panhard bar, like the 42 to 48 Fords had longer shackles, and they had a Panhard bar to locate the rear end, so it wouldn't move side to side. What I'll probably have to end up doing is making a bracket that bolts on the top of the banjo here or here, and just comes up and has like a tie rod end bolted to it, and I'll run a short Panhard bar over to the frame rail, and that'll just keep the rear end from going side to side. So I want to do that. I want to have the back of the car as low as possible, so I want the longer shackles to drop the spring, and I got the reverse eye spring. And when I build the spring pack up, I might take a leaf or two out of it to try to lower it a little bit more. But I want the back of the car to sit as low as possible. So I don't want to. That's why I got these longer shackles on here. So I might have to do the Panhard bar, but we'll get to that when we put the rear end back in the car. Okay, I got my Eastwood rust converter, rust encapsulator sprayed on everything, and I'm waiting for it to dry. Then I'm going to hit it with some satin black Rust-Oleum, and the frame rails will be all restored. To finish out the video, I'm over here working on the gas tank. Here I'm putting in the sending unit. I bought this universal Ford sending unit. It goes from all the way from the 30s up to like 56 or so. I've already trimmed the fuel, the float, trimmed it to the length of the tank. They give you a little diagram of how to do it. And I'm ready to stick it in. I got a piece of cork gasket here. And I put a little bit of sealant between the cork gasket and the tank. And then I'm going to just set this down in here like this. And it goes right over the cork. Bam. Like that. Should fit over the cork. Yes. Comes with some new screws. That's good because I didn't have any screws with this tank. And pretty much that's all I got to do to install a tank. We'll just replace this sending unit with a new one. 35 to 40 Ford pretty much had the same style frame and the same style tank mounted in here. My car is a 37, but I'm using a 35 tank. Came out of a 35 Cabriolet, apparently, according to the label that's over here. I bought it at a swap meet. It's a nice shape, real nice on the inside. A good original tank. You can buy reproduction tanks. They're kind of pricey, several $100s. So I found this one at a swap meet. I've been collecting parts for this car for a while, and I found this one at a swap meet along with some other ones, but this is the best shaped one, so we're going to install it in the car, and it should be good to go. I also had to buy a reproduction filler neck for this tank, because it's the type that uses the rubber hose here to make the filler connection to the fender. The tank I took out of the car had a threaded style filler neck, which is filler neck threaded in to a fitting in the side of the tank, so this is the other style that's got the rubber hose connection. So I bought a new filler neck. These are reproduction. Got it from, I believe, CW Moss I got it from. So brand new filler neck for our tank, but this thing's ready to install. I'm going to wait on installing the tank until I can do some floor repairs in the back of the car. But this thing is here, ready to go with a new sending unit, new filler neck, and here's where the line goes to suck the fuel out of the tank. So we should be good to go with that. Bam. That's it for now. Did a lot of cleaning up and getting things kind of ready to go to be reassembled. Next time, I think I'm going to break into working on this front wiring harness, get this replaced all the way under the dash of the car, and then when that's out of the way, be able to set the engine in and start to reassemble the car and hopefully get the thing running here sooner rather than later. So thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to hit the bell for alerts, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you right back here working on this 37 Ford at the Quick Speed Shop.